Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission here, as always, is pretty straightforward. We take a whole stack of sources, research, articles, maybe even your notes, and really pull out the core knowledge. Think of it as your shortcut to getting properly informed. Today, we're plunging into an area of psychology that honestly touches almost everything: achievement, motivation, even just day-to-day happiness. We're talking about the power of our mindset. And our main source material for this exploration is Carol S. Dweck's really transformative book, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success.
Yeah, and Carol Dweck, her work, it's really grounded in decades of solid research. We're going to explore how our fundamental beliefs, about intelligence, about ability, how they shape pretty much every part of our lives. We'll focus on the two core ideas, the fixed mindset and the growth mindset.
So what's the takeaway for you listening right now? Well, our aim is to uncover how these mindsets play out in, real life learning, relationships, business parenting, and maybe most importantly, how you can actually shift your own perspective to unlock more potential. Okay, let's get into it. To really understand the impact here, we probably need to define those two key ideas Dweck talks about.
Yeah.
Let's start with the fixed mindset. What is that, fundamentally?
Right, so someone with a fixed mindset basically believes their core qualities, think intelligence, talent, personality, are just innate. They're carved in stone, unchangeable. For them, success isn't just success, it's proof they are inherently smart or talented. And failure becomes this direct threat. It feels like it exposes their limitations, which in their view can't be changed. This often leads to things like anxiety, defensiveness, needing constant validation.
Because if you think it's fixed, any struggle means you just don't have it.
Exactly, so they tend to avoid risks. They might shun difficult tasks because, well, struggling would imply they lack that innate ability they value so much.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then the flip side is the growth mindset. How does that differ?
Well, the contrast is fascinating, really. People with a growth mindset believe abilities aren't fixed at all. They think they can be developed, through effort, through learning, through persistence. They actually tend to see challenges as opportunities to get better. Mistakes, for them, aren't the end of the world. They're not deep reflections of their worth. They're more like stepping stones, information.
Is this feedback?
Just feedback, yeah. It guides their next steps. Their self-worth isn't tied up in being perfect from the get-go. It's rooted in the process of learning and striving.
Wow. Okay, so that's the core difference. How do these actually play out then when it comes to, say, learning something new or trying to achieve a goal?
Well, think about it. If you have a fixed mindset, your priority is often proving yourself, looking smart. So you might pick tasks where you know you'll succeed easily.
Right, the easy wins.
Exactly. You might avoid situations where you can struggle or, heaven forbid, fail, because that difficulty feels like evidence you lack talent. Yeah. But someone with a growth mindset, they often actively seek out challenges. Their priority is learning, not just appearing intelligent. They're usually more willing to put in the hard work, stick with things longer, bounce back from setbacks. They push their boundaries.
That brings up a really key point. What happens when things don't go well? You mentioned setbacks. How does failure land differently for these two mindsets?
It's a huge difference. When someone with a fixed mindset fails, they might feel, well, crushed, defeated. They might avoid feedback because it feels too personal, too exposing.
Blame someone else.
Or blame external factors, definitely. Or even just give up, thinking, see, I knew I couldn't do it. Achievement feels beyond their control if they weren't born with the right stuff. But with a growth mindset, failure is processed differently. It's seen as valuable data. Okay, that didn't work. What can I learn? What strategy can I try next? They use it to adapt, improve their skills, and just keep going. That resilience, that bouncing back, that's a hallmark of long-term success.
It sounds like even the idea of effort itself is valued completely differently.
Absolutely. That's a critical distinction. In a fixed mindset, needing to exert a lot of effort can almost feel shameful. The thinking is, if I were really smart, I wouldn't have to try this hard.
So effort undermines the idea of innate talent.
Precisely. Effort seems kind of pointless if you believe talent alone should carry you. But the growth mindset, it flips that entirely. It celebrates effort. Struggle and perseverance aren't signs of weakness. They're seen as essential pathways to getting better, to mastery. Effort is what ignites ability.
Okay, that's really clear for personal achievement. But does this extend beyond just, learning a skill or passing a test? What about other parts of life, like relationships?
Oh, definitely. In relationships, think about it. A fixed mindset might lead someone to see disagreements or rough patches as signs of fundamental incompatibility, like, this is just who we are, it's not working, it can't be fixed.
It's a judgment on the relationship's potential.
Exactly. Whereas someone with a growth mindset is more likely to focus on learning, communication, collaboration. They believe both partners can grow and change. Setbacks become opportunities to understand each other better, to develop the relationship itself. They're willing to work at it.
That's a profound difference in approach. And what about in, say, the business world? Leadership, the stakes seem incredibly high there.
Yeah, and this is where it gets really interesting and sometimes quite stark. Think about companies that maybe implicitly or explicitly foster fixed mindsets. They might glorify natural genius above all else. Enron was famously cited by Dweck as an example, valuing innate talent over development.
And what happens in those environments?
Well, they often tend to stagnate. People are afraid to admit mistakes or take risks. Innovation can be stifled because failure is penalized, not learned from. They can become quite rigid. But businesses that cultivate a growth mindset, they tend to encourage feedback, celebrate effort and learning, see challenges as opportunities to adapt. They're often more innovative and resilient in the long run because they're built for continuous improvement.
Okay, and one more area that feels crucial, parenting and teaching. How we talk to kids, how we coach people. How do mindsets play out there?
This is huge. If you constantly praise children only for their intelligence, you're so smart, you might inadvertently be fostering a fixed mindset.
Really? How so?
Because it ties their sense of self-worth to being smart innately. So they might become afraid to take on challenges where they might not look smart, where they might fail and lose that label. They become risk-averse. But praising effort, praising the strategies they used, praising their persistence when things got tough, that cultivates a growth mindset. It teaches them that challenges are things you overcome through effort and learning. It motivates them to keep trying and truly excel. It's about praising the process, not just the person's perceived trait.
This all sounds incredibly powerful, but the big question, I guess, is, are we stuck with the mindset we have, or is this something you can actually change?
That's probably the most hopeful part of Dweck's work. She strongly emphasizes that mindsets are malleable. They are beliefs, not permanent traits. You absolutely can shift your mindset.
So it's not like eye color, it's changeable.
Exactly. It does take awareness, though. You have to recognize your own fixed mindset thoughts when they pop up, and it takes deliberate practice. It means things like consciously choosing to see mistakes, not as failures, but as learning opportunities. Actively seeking feedback, even when it's uncomfortable. Focusing on the effort you're putting in. You might even notice, you have a growth mindset about, say, sports, but a fixed one about math. That's normal. The goal is to consciously cultivate growth more broadly.
Okay, so for anyone listening who's thinking, yeah, I sometimes fall into that fixed mindset trap, what are some concrete strategies? What can they actually do to cultivate more of a growth mindset?
Dweck outlines several key things. First, consciously try to embrace challenges. See them as chances to stretch yourself, not threats. Second, learn from criticism. Try to view feedback as useful information, a gift, really, not as a personal attack.
Easier said than done sometimes, but...
Okay, absolutely. Third, really internalize the idea that effort is the path to mastery. It's not a sign you're not good enough, it's how you get good enough. Fourth, and this is a powerful one, try to find inspiration in the success of others. Learn from them instead of feeling threatened by them. And finally, there's a simple but really effective tool, the power of not yet. When you face a setback or you think, I can't do this, just add the words not yet to the end of that thought. I can't do this yet. It reframes the situation immediately, turning a perceived failure into a point on a learning curve.
Not yet. I like that. Simple, but it reframes everything. So thinking bigger picture now, what are the broader implications if more people, more institutions adopted a growth mindset?
Well, in education, the impact could be huge. Encouraging growth mindsets in students consistently leads to greater motivation, higher achievement, particularly for students facing challenges, and definitely more resilience. Teachers can create classrooms where effort is valued, questions are encouraged, and learning is the real goal, not just grades. And in organizations, like we touched on, it's not just about happier employees. Growth mindsets really fuel innovation. They foster better collaboration. They contribute to adaptability and long-term success. Leaders have a massive role to play in shaping that culture, celebrating learning from mistakes, encouraging feedback, rewarding smart effort.
So pulling it all together then, what does this mean for you, the listener, for your own personal journey?
Fundamentally, adopting a growth mindset unlocks your potential. It's about changing your relationship with challenges and setbacks. It allows anyone to treat life's inevitable difficulties, criticism, failures, disappointments, not as reasons to stop, but as stepping stones, as fuel, really, for continuous improvement and learning throughout your entire life.
This deep dive into Carol Dweck's mindset really highlights how profoundly our basic beliefs about ourselves shape our reality. It's not just pop psychology, it's grounded in real research about how we function.
Absolutely. The fixed mindset ultimately limits us. It restricts achievement, it dampens resilience, it can even impact our happiness because of that constant pressure to prove ourselves. But the growth mindset that really opens doors, it unlocks learning, boosts creativity, and fuels that persistent drive to get better.
And maybe the most crucial takeaway is that this isn't about destiny. Your mindset isn't fixed unless you believe it is. You can choose to cultivate a growth mindset through conscious effort, through practice, through using tools like Not Yet. It really empowers you to see every challenge differently as a chance to grow, not just a test of who you already are.
Exactly. The mindset you choose really does shape the journey ahead. So the encouragement is choose growth, embrace the effort involved, seek out feedback, learn from others, and let every single setback just be the beginning of your next chapter.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive. We genuinely hope this exploration has given you some valuable insights, maybe some practical tools for your own path. Until next time, keep digging, keep learning, and keep growing.